Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So welcome to one more episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs break that wall and achieve the first million. And today we have Anthony from London, and we're so happy to have people from United Kingdom in the podcast because most of the people come from US and we want more people from United Kingdom. Anthony, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, well, my name is Anthony Malewski. I'm an investor, an entrepreneur, and I love creating companies. And I'm happy today to share with you some of the things that I've incorporated and do as I go through life.
Yeah, Anthony, but let's you don't become an investor overnight. So what happened? How you become an investor? Before you own a business, or do you have an inspiration for your family, your friend? How this has happened that you're an investor? Because this doesn't happen overnight.
I think it requires, really having a passion for something, and then being successful at that thing. And that could be anything. I mean, it could be, when you look and think about every single job, every single person you interact with, you know what, the person that owns the garbage company is incredibly wealthy, right? Like, Elon Musk has Tesla. I mean, whenever you kind of look around, every single thing is a business at some level. And there's somebody or some people behind that business that are successful. And so it doesn't really matter what the thing is. It matters you have passion for it and you have the drive and the energy to kind of pursue that thing, whatever it is. And so I think, in the first instance, you really have to discover that passion in one form or another.
So what? Tell us about your story. What was your first passion? How you end up in this business world in the first place?
It's a funny story. I was in graduate school, and I was really interested in the former Soviet Union, and I got a job in London. And at the time, all these businesses in Russia were listing on the London Stock Exchange.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was just the time. It was after the Soviet Union, and I had studied Russian at university, and I didn't speak it very well at the time. And they said, "Well, hey, do you want to work on these files out of Russia?" So I moved to Moscow for the office of the firm, and I began working on all these IPOs and M&A transactions for commodities companies that were listed on the
Wow.
London Exchange.
Wow. But and then Anthony, do you speak Russian?
I mean, I
In the university you study there,
yeah,
is
I
it
studied
English or in
Russian and
Russian?
I lived there for a number of years, so I
Yeah.
speak Russian. But so it just was by chance because at that time it was a bull market, and it was really interesting. I was young. It was my first job. I thought, oh, well, let's just take a chance, and that chance was like this sort of kickoff to everything.
Yeah, I was born in Cuba, yeah. So sometimes the people ask me, Harry, where are you from? I always tell them Russia, because in Cuba everything was from Russia. Everything, the tables, the buildings, the food. Some people even told me that there are some parts in Cuba that the buildings and the architecture, you actually, it looks like you're actually in Russia, right? Because they have, it was communist, Cuba's still communist, right? So they did a lot of trade back in the day. And so I got a degree in chemical engineering, right? And I remember everything came from Russia, all the things from my university and things for that. Yeah. So uh so let me so in your early age, right? You are discovering, right? That what the benefit to being investors are, right? Because being a good investor basically is to put the money to work for you, right? Right? And you go and work for money, you put the money to work for you, right? So and once you get that right, it's amazing, right? So when was your first stage that that you say, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
putting this
my
and this
first
producing this and And how come this money is working for me? And now if I want, I don't need to work. The money goes and do the job for me and doesn't get tired 24/7. If I want to make more and amplify. So when do you have the first stage of this investor life?
Yeah, I think I was about 10 years old, and my
10
sister
years old?
was 8,
Wow.
and we lived by a golf course, and we would go and buy soda and sell soda. But here's the funny thing. We were selling cans of soda for 75 cents a can, except that we had this great idea that we wouldn't make change. So, so you either had to have exact change or you had to pay $1. So, and what we would do is in the winter, when it was cold, they would drain the ponds. We would go in and we'd collect golf balls out of the ponds. So we would sell golf balls in egg cartons, and then we would sell soda, but we wouldn't make change. And so I think that was really my first experience as an entrepreneur. And then from there, it just kind of continued on.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
Anthony, where do you think this inspiration come? There is anybody family in your family an entrepreneur or family friends, or you read a book or you saw a TV show or
I think in
what
that
happened?
instance, it was just because, we lived in a little bit of a different time. There were no tiger parents back then. I think my sister and I just thought it would be fun and we wanted to do it and we wanted to make some money. And I think we had the freedom to do that. And I think that sort of kicked everything off. There wasn't anyone hovering over us. We just wanted to make some money to be able to kind of.
What happened when your parents find out that you guys are making extra money and now you can buy all the candy you want and all the sugar you want? Did they were supportive of the idea, or they didn't like so much the idea that you guys were there making a little bit money by yourself?
No, I think they liked it. I mean, I don't even know if we ever told them until a long time later. We were just kind of went out and did it. When we were younger, we did all kinds of crazy stuff. We went and yeah, I could think of lots of things, but I think, that's the thing about being an entrepreneur. It's a little bit of a personality as well,
Mm,
because there's much more financial risk associated with it than, say, going to work at Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, which has its own set of risks. But if you're a lawyer or an engineer, that paycheck is probably going to come every week or every 2 weeks. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't really know in the early days where that next check's going to come from.
absolutely.
And if that doesn't suit you, it's really hard. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how driven you are. If you can't manage that stress and that kind of mentality, I think it's really easy to fail. And that's something to kind of understand about yourself.
But it's very important, Anthony. I'm glad that you shared this about your parents, right? That you were doing your thing and they were okay with it and going along. I know some people here in London, right, that they have different experience that they have, they started as a kid, they start to make money selling eggs or something like this. And then the parents find out, they make a big scene. Why are you doing making money? Blah blah blah. And then they go to the school and make a big scene. Why are you buying things for my kid? You should be ashamed, teachers and whatever. And and actually, my friend, she's an entrepreneur, and still, this has affected deeply in her career as an entrepreneur, right? That from the early age that she wanted to do something, but now you have, I think that she was selling eggs, right? And the grandpa was Jewish, yeah, and he was selling emerald, right? And then the my friend said to the grandpa, "Grandpa, I want this Jewish this emerald to buy." And the grandpa said, "You really want to buy them? Okay, I'm gonna give you a hen." And the hen is gonna put eggs. You sell the eggs, you will buy all the emeralds you want. And with 8 years old, my friend is like crazy about the hen and making money to get the present for the grandpa, whatever. So she started to have at the end 8 hens, and she make everybody in the school, they teach everybody who's buying the eggs. And she told me, I had my pillow hardly full of money. And for the hen that my grandpa gave me one, and then this I have more, and I have like 8 hens, and my eggs were amazing. And what happened? The mom find out and make a big scene out of it. The mom took all the money, put it in the bank, It was in a Latin American country, it was not in here. So by the time I said, you won't touch this money till you are 18. By the time that the woman take the money 18, the currency was so devaluated that maybe she have like 3,000 and maybe she collect 300. And she make a big scene in the school and everything. And my friend is now, but she has like a roller coaster journey with her entrepreneurship, because this is always at the back of the head, right? um, with this experience. So I'm glad that. So, what message do you have there for being that that actually your parents were okay with it, and they give you this freedom or this support that you guys, if you want to do an entrepreneur thing, and you're the kids and that make you happy, that's okay. So, what message do you have for parents out there that they just to don't kill, because I think the most important your parents did, they didn't kill your entrepreneur spirit, yeah, or they didn't make it hard. So what message do you have from people out there that could be in the same situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a parent, you should be fostering whatever your kids' strengths are and interests. And it's not, like I said, it's not suited for everyone, but I think if you have children that kind of show that interest, you can help develop it. Let them have their lemonade stand or whatever the equivalent is. Let them sell something on eBay or Etsy. And I think it's just about, it's no different than taking them to baseball practice or soccer practice or football, whatever the thing is. I just think it's the same thing. Some kids have different interests, and if they have those interests, you support them in it.
And it's amazing, when you are a kid, when you are a kid, we are not short of money. Yeah, we only need money if our parent give us the money, and this doesn't come for free. You usually need to tidy your room or clean something. It's not like, and now you guys are making a little bit of extra money, and as a kid, how you were feeling like, oh my God, we have an extra money there. At the early age, you have this and probably that sense, you guys, I don't think you were making that much selling coke, but at least this, it builds something in your brain, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that experience teaches you um, about reinvesting in your business. Okay, so now you've got two kinds of soda. Well, now you got three. You got Coke, Diet Coke, and Dr. Pepper. And then, you realize, well, Dr. Pepper doesn't sell at this golf course, so let's try
Wow,
cherry
amazing
Coke.
at the early age, that's
And so
amazing.
I think on some microcosm, even the smallest business, even the most basic thing, teaches a lot of principles about markets and inventory and cash management.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then, Anthony, then one thing is to have a business, yeah. Another thing is is being an investor. So a lot of a lot of things, when it comes to being an investor, has to do with the mindset and the due diligence, and I have access to the right data. So what advice do you have for any investor out there, right, that is struggling with these issues, with the mindset, right? That sometimes, people, there is a line between calculated risk and gambling, and a lot of times in the stock market, this is a thin line that if you cross it, there is no way back, right?
I mean, I think the first instance you have to start with what you know. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're not an investor at all, you want to begin to be an investor. I mean, you know so much about the world through your experience. All of a sudden, every one of your kids and all your kids' friends start wearing a particular brand. All your girlfriends buy a Peloton, and then they don't, then they get rid of it. You know, all of a sudden everyone buys an electric vehicle. I mean, there's all these things going on all around you. And I would just say a key thing for a new investor is invest in what you know and invest in things that you understand. And that could be, like I said, wow, everyone in my neighborhood is buying an electric vehicle. Maybe I should look into that. Um, And then on a more practical level, if it's like a company that you're starting and you're going to invest in, I think that the best ideas and the things that I have found to be the most successful that I've invested in over the years are the thing where that individual has been doing this whatever for 20 years, and one day they woke up and said, hey, I can make the widget different. And so they knew that product, they knew that business. That's not to say that in the tech industry there aren't 24-year-olds who created a website. That's not, I don't really invest in that. There's nothing wrong with that. But my experience has been that investing in what you know, and that's if you're founding a company, that's one thing. But also if you're just an individual who wants to be an investor, you live in this world and there are all these things going on. And if you notice that all of a sudden all this particular type of restaurant starts to pop up, or everyone's talking about this thing, it's worth kind of examining and reflecting on why that's happening and if you think it's going to continue to happen. And in a lot of ways, that's really the process for investing overall, right? You start with this idea, you see this pattern, and then you start to investigate it. So that's how I think about it.
Yeah. So, Anthony, any particular industry that you are more preference for investing?
Yeah, I mean, I've spent my career primarily in the commodities business. So, look around the room that you're in right now, and almost everything you see is either mined or grown. And so actually everything you touch at its most basic element is coming out of the earth. And that could be copper, tin inside of your phone. You get in a car, well, there's oil, there's plastic, hydrocarbons. If it's an electric vehicle, there's lithium, cobalt, nickel. So for me, thinking about these basic commodities and how they impact our world has been really helpful. I'll give you an example. It's been a decade ago, but I started to think about electric vehicles, and I founded a company. We raised over $1 billion and sold the company, and we bought cobalt, and cobalt is used in electric vehicle batteries, and that was an idea, and it was really successful. So kind of thinking about how the world is going to change and where it's going, and then what the world's going to need is a great way to think about investing, and that's one of the ways we've been successful. Another example is artificial intelligence. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we started investing in different companies who specialize in different types of engines for artificial intelligence. Once again, this is something that's going to impact, probably already impacting every aspect of your life, but it's going to be more dramatic. So these are the ways I think about investing. And there's different styles of investing and different philosophies, but my philosophy is to think about where the world is going, what those changes are going to be, and then if in fact that happens, what are we going to need more of? What's going to be interesting if that thing comes to pass?
So, Anthony, so what is your view when you go? We know a lot of entrepreneurs in the tech industry, right? With the tech startups, right? So, what is your view what do you look at in the companies that they have, for example, AI, and or what made you think that this company have something good that is worth in invest in this company? How you realize these what the future is gonna be?
Well, I mean, you have to just have a view of the world. I mean, an example around artificial intelligence right now are data centers and the power that it takes for the GPUs, to process these large language models. It's astronomical. So that means to me, gas, uranium, coal, all those are going to be interesting. So that's one side of it. If you're talking specifically about artificial intelligence with the companies that we've invested in, obviously you need a team that's experienced writing the algorithm, but actually the data set that they have, to me, is one of the things I look at. Do they have access to the data that they need to train the model? There are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people out there who can write these algorithms, but having access to the data to train them is something very different. And so
Absolutely.
in some of the companies that we've looked at, you say, well, this is a fantastic idea that you guys have. Where are you going to get the data? And if the answer is, well, we don't have it, I say, well, it's a great idea, but I don't know how it's going to work. And so I think that's, for me, that's how I think about a lot of these companies right now, and that'll probably change through time.
100%, Anthony, because it's AI, so technically the thing should learn from something, right?
Yeah.
So you need this is the backbone. Okay, AI, anybody can write an AI company and do whatever and write the code, but what is the database? What is the source of the information? How good it is and how truth is this database, right? And then if it's good and then you connect the AI, it's gonna be amazing because the thing is gonna learn very good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So basically we go back to it's more important, like you said, the database from where the machine is gonna learn, right? This is key in this all in all these tech businesses. So Anthony, one can you share with us one of your biggest setback and how you overcome the setback in business or investing,
I mean,
or
I've
something that didn't work that you saw that, oh, this is gonna be amazing, and somehow the market changed, something changed and it didn't work?
I can tell you, I mean, I've had that happen more than once, in particular in the commodities business, because if you create a company and your thesis is that the price of that underlying commodity is going to go up, and then it doesn't go up, or even worse, it goes down, then it completely undermines, that business. And so in the commodities business, it's really important to be directionally correct on commodity pricing. And I can tell you another one. There was an AI company that we invested in that it was doing landslide prediction, and we invested quite a bit of money in it, and probably didn't help the management team create a supporting team underneath them as much, and then the management team left, and the people who stayed, they were unable to move the business forward, went to zero. So I think, in fact, a lot of those losses are maybe some of the most valuable experiences, because then you learn in this example, okay, we're going to invest in this company, but let's talk about the management. How's that going to work? What's the transition going to look? And so you learn from those experiences. And even if you read about them, or someone tells you about their experience, I think it's hard to really fully internalize something unless it's happened to you. It doesn't mean you have to have every bad experience, but certainly, a few bumps along the way are pretty helpful for your own learning.
Fantastic. So then, Anthony, what are the 5 steps that entrepreneurs should be doing out there to make the first million?
I think you have to have an idea. You have to have a passion about something. You have to decide what that is. And it could be door hinges, selling door hinges, I mean, it could be anything. And then you have to take the risk. And these people doing these part-time things while they're working full-time, you got to go all in, I think. So that's the second step. So the idea, you got to take the risk. And then I think you have to be willing to adapt, because your idea might not be quite right. Your vision might be a little bit off. So you got to be willing to adapt. I think the next step is to bring in partners. It could be capital partners, it could be marketing partners. And I think finally, know when to sell. It could be worth $100, but if you get it offered for 50, maybe you take 50, because I can tell you more than once I didn't make any money because I got greedy. And so I think knowing when to sell is really important.
Yeah. So then, Anthony, let's explore a little bit on this, yeah, because it comes with the psychology of the investor and the psychology of an entrepreneur, and you sharing with us, yeah, something that that is common in this industry, right? You get greedy and then things don't go right. So how you keep yourself in the clear mindset, in being objective, in don't be over passionate, and you take more
Well, I can tell you how you do
rational
it.
decisions, right? I'm putting all in, right, which is a very risky thing to do when
Yeah, no,
you're
I'll give you an
right?
example. I invested in this company, and I think my first investment was at the equivalent of a share price of 50 cents. and the stock went, I think, all the way up to $16.
Wow.
I didn't sell anything. Didn't sell one share. And I think I looked, and the stock is back down to 85 cents or a dollar. So,
Really?
you
Wow.
know, and I mean, I left so much money on the table, and it was because at $15 and $14, I thought it was going to 100, and and I was greedy, and honestly, it was dumb, and there's a lesson there in selling and needing to sell.
So then, Anthony, so you learned the lesson. Yeah, obviously this is what I do when I'm in business. Also, every time that I lose money is when I learn a lot. Yeah, that's my best way of learning. Yeah, if I lose money, oh my God, I learned this lesson very well. So but how you keep yourself like, okay, let's do this more. You can get still passionate, you can get a little bit more, but how you mitigate your risk to make sure that you capitalize more in your investments?
I think you need to be continually monetizing investments. I mean,
So what happens next time that you get a share very good price, and then when it goes up quickly, what are you gonna do? You sell 50%, and
yeah, that's right. I mean, by the way,
what you do?
that's
More
the way I
rational
look at it.
now? What will you do? Or you still say no, 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 no? It's gonna go for 100. We'll leave everything there.
No, I mean, normally you should take some off the table. It's just this is an example of getting greedy, but I think in a diversified portfolio, you need to be selling. It's that simple.
Yeah, right. As soon as because Anthony, when you invest, right, you have a goal out of this share, right? Okay, let's suppose that it's 16 cents or whatever, or 20 cents, and your goal, you say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna make 5 times more, yeah, and then I'm gonna sell, and then you put the 20 cents in the share, and now the share is not 5 times more, it's like 20 times more, 30 times more, and then
Yeah, I mean,
your goal is out of scope, and now what happened there?
well, that's when you get what do they say? Like hogs get slaughtered or something. You know, there's this saying. I mean, that's when it goes wrong. And so I think you just have to be disciplined and
Exactly. How you
and
maintain this discipline? Are you reading any books? Are you do any meditation? You go for a swim? What is helping you to keep you disciplined?
I think that it's about having a schedule, and I think it's about exercising, and staying kind of true to whatever that is for you.
And how about when you decide your strategy, stick to it. Yeah. Because I think that when you look at the stock, you say, okay, this is my strategy. I'm gonna buy this thing for 20 cents or whatever. I think it's gonna go to 100. When it comes to 100, I will sell it and 50% of the whatever, and then let's see what happens, right? And I think if you have that strategy and you can mitigate the risk with the strategy that you design, is helping you to keep you on point, helping you to keep you disciplined, or not really?
I think it is. I mean, I think that strategy helps you to keep your discipline, and being disciplined helps you be disciplined. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think, oh, just this once, then you start to lose discipline. So I think, by being disciplined and staying disciplined, it helps you be disciplined. It's just kind of a circular thing.
Mm. Yeah, but a lot of things as well come with experience, Anthony, right? Because if something happened to you and you can say you were greedy and whatever, right? Now you have more experience. Now, yeah, can you stretch a little bit more in some occasions? Yes, but at least you will look into it way more deeply, right? And you will be more careful than before, right?
Yeah.
No. Okay, I have a question for you, very important, which is, what do you think about the cryptocurrency? Because the whole thing in investing in crypto, this thing is really volatile, right? Sometimes it worth a lot of money, and then the next day it goes to zero. And
I think
what do you think about this? Do you like this type of thing? You don't like it?
I mean, cryptocurrency is hundreds or thousands of different tokens, and so I think you have to be more specific than
and
that. But
coins, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it seems to me at this point, Bitcoin, for instance, is kind of commoditized and it trades like an asset class. So I don't think it's going to
Exactly.
zero. But then there are all these get rich quick tokens, and I think it's kind of a lottery, and some of them work and some
Absolutely,
don't.
because
And so I think Bitcoin is one thing, and a series of other currencies are one thing, and they've kind of matured. But it's not the same thing as all these different tokens, which to me are sort of a form of gambling. Like how can you predict if it's going to go up or down? So I think that you can't just say cryptocurrency. I think you have to be more specific and kind of divide it into these more mature currencies that have now developed over the last 10 years,
absolutely, yeah.
and then some of these ones which are more akin to gambling.
And same thing, Anthony, that you do. Let's say it's a token, right? Okay, fine. What is technology? What technology is behind this token? What is backing this token, right? I mean, it has helped a lot of people to raise finance for the business. A lot of people have lost money. A lot of investors have lost money and not happy with the situation. I know a lot of people that have a lot of money there, a quarter million, and they went to zero
Yeah.
overnight
But it didn't go to zero in
literally to
Bitcoin.
zero.
It didn't go to zero in Bitcoin. It went to zero in some token no one's ever heard
Yeah,
of.
token. Yeah, not in Bitcoin, but in another token. Yeah.
So I think when you're investing, I think you really need to be clear about what it is you're doing. Um, if you're buying the S&P 500, like what is your downside? It might be 20%. I mean, what's a big drawdown in a year is 20-25%. If um, if you're buying, but your upside, by the way, is probably the same. If you're buying some ridiculous coin, then what are we doing? We're speculating, we're gambling. So that means your downside
Very
zero.
risky thing to do.
Yeah, so I think it's important to really identify what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. Like, are you gambling? And if you're gambling and you want to gamble and you acknowledge you're gambling, fine, that's okay. But if you think you're investing, but you're gambling, then I think you got a problem.
Yeah. And it's so volatile that people can make money and lose money very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so it's obviously, I have friends that are crypto investors. Some of them are doing well, and but you need to know your game properly, because this is another uh, another book game. Yeah, it has to be. If you invest in something, it has to be like you said with the AI, right? We have to have a real technology behind that thing. Have to be a real company with real people, with real, and then, well, it's a good way to raise finance, right? And but at this stage, as it is right now, it went bad so many times, yeah, that the market have lost a little bit of trust in the crypto. I mean, at the moment, it's picking up again. I heard. When it goes down, everybody's out. As soon as it start to pick up again, everybody's in again, and it's like crazy, yeah. So, yeah. So, Anthony, but a tech company is different, right? A tech company with the founders, with the good database, with the right potential for AI. This is something that it makes more sense, right?
Yeah, but it's not without risk. I mean, I think that's always the important thing is to identify, can this go to zero? What am I actually do I what if this is your retirement money, man, maybe you better be just buying the S&P 500. I think you've got to have your own
Yep.
personal financial situation really thoughtfully considered so that you're appropriately allocating to a risk level that suits your situation.
I understand, 100%. Yeah, I think that, Anthony, you put it on the spot there. So, Anthony, so if somebody wants to learn more about about investment or about the commodities, and or somebody have a nice AI project that want to show to you with good database and everything. So how can they find you? How they can contact you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways. You can find me on Twitter. You can DM me on Twitter. A_Malewski, or I have a website, anthonymalewski.com or theoregongroup.com. So either you can reach me any of those places, and I'll try to get back to you.
That's fantastic, Anthony. Thank you so much. Right. Any interest, any products or any companies that you guys are looking at to, like for example, you share AI companies, right, with a good database. This is something that you guys are looking into, and if everything is good, you will back this company. Anything else that you guys are looking into that if it makes sense, you guys will look at it.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a lot of AI-based companies. I think that's a key focus right now, and so I wouldn't necessarily name any of them, but yeah, like there's definitely that's kind of where the interesting action's at right now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anthony, for your time. Yeah, that will be fantastic. And you have a here from UK. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, remember we are in London. Yeah, text me and we can have a coffee. We can have a laugh. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. And for every one of you listening this Unstoppable podcast in Spotify, Apple, or following our social media, seeing our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.